All right, starting right at Best Picture, we have One Battle After Another, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Sinners, Sentimental Value, Frankenstein, Bugonia, The Secret Agent, Train Dreams, and It Was Just an Accident. I'm not quite sure about It Was Just an Accident's chances if it's going to get enough number one spots, but I don't feel F1. Best Director, we have Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, and in second, Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. Then in third, Ryan Coogler, and this one, I almost didn't predict him because it feels such like a popular film, but I just can't deny how well it's done in the precursors. Then I have Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, and then I do have Jafar Panahi because I've thought him all year except for the last couple of weeks. Been a little hesitant, but not even that much as I feel like maybe I should. Okay, it missed BAFTA long lists, but you could only get in a certain amount of male directors versus female directors. And for the male, they chose solely, I believe, European or American directors. So I don't know how much I can really weigh that in. And seeing the love that people really have for the screenplay as well, and knowing the type of movie this is, not that it's just international, but that it's really a director's film. He knows this story, he knows Iran extremely well, to his own detriment, which is horrible. And I feel like it would just be a slap in the face not to nominate him. And I don't have Joachim Trier, I hope I'm pronouncing that somewhat correct, in here because I do feel like it is the type of movie to be snubbed because it's so remembered for being the actor film. And I feel like all the other elements of it, I mean, it didn't even get shortlisted for editing at BAFTA. That I have a hard time putting him in here. And the whole auteur thing, I feel like Jafar Panahi is truly one of the most respected international directors ever. And Joachim Trier, although, yes, worst person in the world, got shortlisted for Armand. It's not that same level of auteurism. Best Actress, Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Renate Reinsve for Sentimental Value, Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another, Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, and Emma Stone, Bugonia. I feel pretty solid about this. Knock on wood. Best Actor, Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another. And here it gets tricky, but I do have Wagner Moura in for The Secret Agent, then Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. I almost didn't predict Michael B. Jordan, but he, I think, leads with critics wins. And I think there's a stat that, I hope this is the correct stat, that any film where the lead actor got nominated at SAG, but then the film also got nominated for Ensemble, hasn't missed the last, I think, 17 times. Something to that effect. It was enough to make me go, oh, yeah, no, I got to put him in. Supporting Actress, I think the top two are pretty locked. Teyana Taylor for One Battle After Another, and Amy Madigan for Weapons, Inga Ibsdottir Lilius for Sentimental Value, Wunmi Mosaku for Sinners, and Odessa Aezon for Marty Supreme. Feels like a consensus 5. Then Supporting Actor, Stellan Skarsgård, Sentimental Value, Sean Penn, One Battle After Another, Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Paul Mescal, Hamnet, and Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein. If you have anyone else in here, I hope you're super confident on that pick. Good luck. Adapted screenplay. Okay, this might be the dumbest decision I've had so far, but I think the top 4 should be fine. One Battle After Another, Hamnet, Bugonia, and Train Dreams. And I am still putting No Other Choice in there. I just can't get over, again, I know it's not industry related, but the fact that it got in for Best Film at the Golden Globes, not just international, but for the comedy musical category as a whole, and the fact that it's doing very well, making tons of money. I almost don't care if it's missed BAFTA because they have a lot of white people nominated there. Not that they're not deserved, but I don't see why Frankenstein, which a lot of people said the worst part of the film was the script, that was a movie that really started getting buzz after it got into all these guilds. I don't see why Frankenstein needs to get in. especially when something like Killers of the Flower Moon missed this category. Original screenplay, I have Sinners, Sentimental Value, Marty Supreme, It Was Just an Accident, and The Secret Agent. If Sorry Baby gets in, then That Love from Julia Roberts, like The Love with Andrea Riseborough, is completely valid. I mean, it already is, but it really can sway. But I almost didn't realize that she had done that. I mean, I remember she shouted out someone, and even I knew of the movie, but I feel like it's different from Andrea Riseborough because she had, like, if I remember correctly, like 3-minute videos from actors being like, this needs to be nominated, this, like, drunk driving PSA. If you don't nominate her, your whole family will be devastated. Yeah, I don't see that. And I think The Secret Agent, I mean, the thing that stands out to me is the whole legs scene, and it's reminiscent of all the people who have died that, you know, haven't been discovered or were covered up for their deaths. That whole thing was very interesting, and that is a writerly thing. Animated feature, K-pop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2, Arco, Little Amelie or the Character of Rain, and Elio. I thought maybe In Your Dreams might get in, sort of like what was that one? The C one that got in. That was also another Netflix film. But the reviews for that were definitely not that high, and I felt like the animation didn't feel of a certain caliber that this branch will probably require. Best casting, excuse me, I might be getting a cold, which is great, but whatever. I'll just have nice tea tomorrow. One Battle After Another, Sinners, Marty Supreme, and Hamnet all have talent that was discovered. And then for the 5th spot, I have Weapons, because apparently the entire cast had to be recast, and I feel like if this category is not just about ensemble, but about how the process of casting, the troubles that can come from it, this feels like the clear prime example of that. Now, maybe it could be seen as, oh gosh, you had to recast the whole thing. That is going to waste tons of money. But I also just don't see Wicked getting in. I feel like the international movies will cancel each other out because there are so many of them and they are all in for very, very different reasons. And I don't even remember what the 10th one was. Oh, Frankenstein. Oh, yeah. That got the Actor Awards. The nomination there. I don't think they wanted the word SAG. Cinematography, Sinners, One Battle After Another, Train Dreams, Frankenstein, and Marty Supreme. I was going to put Hamnet in, but it missing the British Tea Party Award nominee, or whatever it's called, that was rude. Costume design, Frankenstein, Sinners, Wicked for Good, Hamnet, and Marty Supreme. I do not feel great about Marty Supreme here, but I just don't feel like there's any other option. Maybe Hedda? I don't know. The movie itself just doesn't seem to be really loved. I don't even know if this movie has been seen enough to even sneak in for a surprise. I feel like whenever there's a surprise, the movie at least was somewhat a success. Best documentary feature. I don't know if I feel great about this or I'm just overly optimistic, but I do have 2,000 Meters to Andreevka, Cover Up, The Perfect Neighbor, My Undesirable Friends, and Seeds. I feel like Seeds is the only real observational documentary where the cinematography is really strong. I think, from the composition on the posters alone, I'm like, ooh, that's super intriguing. But the story itself, Black Americans who were able to create that land for themselves, is a very compelling story. I just don't know why the movie itself is waiting so long for it to get advertising and trailers, and like this new poster just came out like 3 days ago. So that makes me a little worried, but I don't know. Film editing, One Battle, Sinners, Marty Supreme, F1, and Begonia, crazy, but this is the movie to me that feels much like Jojo Rabbit. I remember I think literally the night before, so like right now, the Oscar predictions on Gold Derby were set, like everyone's average rating for everything. Jojo Rabbit was only predicted to get into 2 categories, I believe. And I was like, that doesn't feel right. So I did switch things around and ended up with 6 nominations instead of just 2. So if I don't put it into a couple of other below the line categories, and I'm not just doing this because of the fact that it is only in right now, picture, actress, and screenplay, but I genuinely feel like this 5th spot is extremely wide open. But I don't know. I feel like thriller, political intrigue can help. International feature, Sentimental Value, The Secret Agent, It Was Just an Accident, Surat, and No Other Choice. The only other one I genuinely think has a shot is The Voice of Hindu Rajab. But it's hard to deny Seurat getting 5 shortlist nominations and then the other 4 actually getting into picture at the Golden Globes. I know it's not industry related, but it shows the love that international is really starting to pick up now. Makeup and hair, Frankenstein, Wicked for Good, Sinners, The Smashing Machine, Kokuho. I wasn't so sure about The Smashing Machine, but this is one of those categories where I was just like, you know what? Everyone else has it in their top 4. I'm just going to predict it. And then Kokuho feels like something that would just get in. Score, I have Sinners, One Battle, Frankenstein. I do have Marty Supreme, and I have Bugonia, so I don't have Hamnet. I get that it's gotten into every precursor, but sometimes you just have to go with your gut, and my gut is telling me nothing about Hamnet means it's a lock here. Whereas Durskin Fendrix, that score is extremely memorable. Maybe it hasn't gotten in everywhere, but it at least got the BAFTA long list. I'm okay predicting 2 below the lines, at least for Begonia. Original song, Golden, K-Pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You, Sinners, Dear Me, the Diane Warren. Oh, I like the speakers in the background. Anyway, Train Dreams, and The Girl in the Bubble. I think The Girl in the Bubble could be vulnerable for maybe something like the Sarah Bareilles, Brandi Carlile song. The only thing is that connection to me between it and like the Harper and Will song. Granted, that felt maybe a bit like a joke song to the branch, so they didn't nominate that, even though it was sincere. But the thing that really made me go, ooh, I don't know about this getting in, is the fact we already have a documentary song in here. Production design, Frankenstein, Sinners, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Wicked all are period pieces or sci-fi fantasy type things. Sound, Sinners, F1, One Battle After Another, Seurat, and Frankenstein. And this just makes the most sense to me. Visual effects, Avatar, F1, The Lost Bus, Superman, and Wicked for Good. It's not even so much that the first Wicked got in, but just the second one had more effects. You know, the house falling down, the CGI transformation of the characters. Doc Short, I have All the Empty Rooms, Armed Only with a Camera, Rowena's Choice, On Healing Land, Bird's Perch, and The Devil is Busy. The first 2, everyone is predicting, and if there's a consensus, and I don't really see a reason why they would be snubbed, I'm going to put them in. I feel pretty good about Rowena's Choice as well, showing the effects of cutting aid leading to malnutrition and starvation. I've heard some people mention that we already know that this is going on, so it's not as great of a short as a result. I kind of understand that, but I also feel like these people went to these places to document the stuff that's being reported on the news, and seeing it rather than just hearing that it's going on, I personally find the most effective way to connect to news. The Bird's Perch one, I don't feel great about it, but it was getting to a point I just didn't know what else to put in, and seeing a little bit of the trailer where the subjects are breaking down in tears because probably the PTS of the war itself, that was enough for me to go, all right, I'm going to put that in. And then I do have The Devil is Busy in 5th. For some reason, my gut was telling me I don't think it's getting in, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out what the heck would be that 5th spot. Maybe it was just the fact that it didn't show inside the clinic, which obviously I'm glad it didn't, because people shouldn't be exposed for going to have an abortion. It was perspective I wasn't expecting going into it to just be about this woman who sets it all up and helps people get into the facility with the most security she possibly can. I feel like this branch really goes for things that had a gut punch. Live action short, I have Rock, Paper, Scissors, Two People Exchanging Saliva, Beyond Silence, Extremist, and The Singers. Adieu, I feel everyone who will vote for All the Empty Rooms will not vote for this one. Trying to console the school shooter by talking about acting. It's weird. Pretty much everything in here is a foreign film. And everything in here as well has like a weird dark tone to it, but also like a physical darkness in the lighting. It's very cold lighting, but at least The Singers, it seems like a fun short, so that balances the other ones out, I think. And again, going for the punchiness, I feel like Beyond Silence and Extremist fall under that quite well. And then the top 2 are just great. animated short, I have Playing God, Papillon, The Three Sisters, Autocar, and The Girl Who Cried Pearls. I don't have Eru. The animation to me didn't seem at the level of Wolfwalkers, and the story seemed confusing. It started as like this kid's fable and ended quite open-ended, which was just jarring to me. And I think Snow Bear, again, it could be one of those shorts everyone loves, but because it ends with like that support anti-climate change, try to do better for the environment, that type of thing, so blatantly, it reminds me of something like Save Ralph, where it's like, don't let these rabbits be tested on for makeup. Papillon, the connection with the Nazis, and the watercolor style animation just felt like such a standout to me. The Three Sisters, this one made people laugh. Some people think it's misogynistic, but this is a previous nominee, and the laughter really goes a long way. There have been animated shorts that have gotten in here listed as comedies that people did not love, but they kept getting in. I think Yes People, for example.